All right, well, it's kickoff time. Welcome, everybody. I'm Dr. Elizabeth Cruson. My co-chair for these sessions is Dr. Antoinette Vicks. We are just kind of here in the background to make sure everything goes well. I want to welcome you to the session called Infusing Culture of Care in Your Teams. We're very happy that you're here this morning, and we have a great presentation with some great speakers with you. Before I'm going to turn it over to Rachel to introduce the team, but before I do that, I would ask that because we do not have slides, if you would put your view onto speaker mode, then you'll have a chance to look at whoever it is that's speaking as opposed to the Brady Bunch squares that we're all in. So with that, Rachel, I will turn it over to you.
Great, thank you. Welcome everybody to our session. I am Rachel Orlansky. I'm the Vice President of Student Affairs here at UAGC. And today I have some of my colleagues with me. So Student Affairs has always been a care-centered team. Advocacy, respect, communication, student-centered, the pillars of culture of care. That is what we do within Student Affairs, right? So today I brought some of my amazing colleagues, some amazing student affairs representatives here to talk about how they use culture of care in their unique roles and positions within the institution and how they enact the culture of care. So we in student affairs tend to think about culture of care within three groups, right? With our students, with our colleagues across the institution, and within student affairs ourselves. So by way of introduction, I'm going to ask folks to speak on the student-centered part, right? So we'll focus a bit about our connection to culture of care in the student-centered pillar and our impact on students more broadly. So Kingsley, as our academic resolution specialist, you connect with students who might be disputing their grade or otherwise unhappy or unresolved with their classroom experience. Tell us a little bit about how culture of care helps you navigate your role.
Absolutely. Thank you for this opportunity, Rachel. For me, culture of care, it's an approach that emphasizes empathy, understanding, and support within the community. When it comes to navigating student disputes, implementing a culture of care can be highly effective for fostering resolution and promoting positive outcomes. First, I do my very best to actively listen to students without interruptions. Active listening helps in understanding others' perspectives and feelings. Next, I emphasize the importance of respecting each other's viewpoints, even if they differ. This creates a safe environment where students feel valued and heard. Lastly, I want to highlight that I provide support and solidarity. Advocating for someone else provides them with support and solidarity, letting them know that they're not alone within their struggles, and it sends a powerful message that their concerns are valid, worthy of attention, and that I'm willing to stand by their side to help them address them. Advocating for someone else is a fundamental expression of care and solidarity that promotes empathy, support, and justice. By incorporating a culture of care into my approach to student academic disputes, I strive to create a supportive and empathetic environment where conflicts are resolved constructively, students feel heard, valued, and respected. Thank you.
That's amazing, Kingsley. And may I remind you, that is working with students who are in some way unhappy with something that they've experienced, right? And yet still such care involved. April 2, the Resolution Center has evolved over time, right? And especially since adopting a culture of care. So tell us a bit about how you see your role as a resolution specialist and investigator impacted by the culture of care.
Yeah, thank you, Rachel. So working with the Resolution Center, we have definitely evolved due to the Culture of Care initiative. Our office used to work under the legal department, and during that time, we took more of a legal approach when students came to our office with concerns. Excuse me. We would review the student's file and determine whether or not there was an error, and then we would issue a response based on those findings. However, since the culture of care in our office being with student affairs, we take a different approach at reviewing those student concerns. The culture of care mentality has definitely impacted us in how we handle student concerns. Our investigation process remains the same at its core. We're still focused on conducting unbiased reviews and analyzing facts. However, culture of care has infused a new level of empathy that has created a sense of support and inclusivity. Can't talk today. In addition to gathering facts, we're also attempting to understand the students and those underlying needs. So our shift has made our interactions more personable, and it helps us build a rapport with the students as we navigate their concerns. Regardless of the outcome, whether we can grant their resolution request or not, students know that we took their concerns seriously and conducted a thorough review on their behalf. So by turning the student perspective and experiences, we're able to offer creative resolutions and connect students with university resources that will hopefully contribute to their academic success and overall well-being.
That's so helpful, April. As a voting member in the Resolution Center, I can tell you in simple words where we've shifted is, did we do something wrong? Did we have an error? To did we do our best here? And that's really where you'll see culture of care in the Resolution Center. So Vanessa, as the student and alumni engagement specialist, you connect with our students through various engagement channels. Talk to us about where you see culture of care in your work.
Yeah, thanks, Rachel. So my role involves connecting with students and alumni outside of the classroom. And one key channel I use is UAGC Connect, which is our university's official engagement and networking platform. Here, students and alumni connect with each other, they participate in discussions and access valuable resources. And by facilitating these interactions, I strive to promote inclusivity and belonging among our diverse students and alumni. Additionally, I work closely with colleagues across the institution related to student clubs, communities, and alumni networks. And we ensure that these communities engage in meaningful discussions and foster connections within the community. But most importantly, I prioritize accessibility and availability to ensure that all students and alumni receive the support they need, whether it's directing them to resources, addressing concerns, or offering assistance. I'm here to help, and they can reach me through UAGC Connect, by direct message, or in the comments. They can reach me by email, Zoom, or phone. Thanks.
Thanks, Vanessa. Kim, as the Student Rights and Responsibilities Manager overseeing conduct and academic resolution and co-chairing our behavior intervention team, you have a unique connection to our student population. Tell us a bit about your connection to culture of care.
Thank you, Rachel, and thank you all for joining us. Culture of care is something we embody every day, even when we have to work with a student who egregiously plagiarized, persistently disrupted operations, complained about an instructor or course. We must balance policy and support, compliance and care, and we strive to find ways to better understand a student's unique experiences, ensure that they understand UAGC policies, and seek opportunities for development. When a student may respond or communicate in a way that's unexpected, I'm curious about it. Why are they responding that way? Even when that way may be directed right at me and in a way that doesn't feel so great. It's not easy. When that happens, we need to move towards, or I attempt to move towards not determining whether that response is right or wrong, but really moving away from that intention and just determining that it's different. If we determine something is right or wrong quickly, instead of acknowledging it's different, then we start to label. We start to think through things in a different way. If we do not move to label, we can remain open to curiosity, engagement, and then come to understanding so we can move forward with development opportunities.
Thanks, Kim. And thank you all for sharing your culture of care connections with our students. We are student affairs. Our jobs are literally caring about students. So I'd like to spend a little bit of time on talking about the culture of care in how we connect with our colleagues across the institution. So this presentation was about infusing culture of care in your team. And we're going to spend the bulk of our time here today talking about what we're doing within our team, but I do want to make sure we touch on each piece of this puzzle. So for working with our colleagues across the university outside of student affairs, give us an example of how you employ a culture of care when you're working with colleagues across the university. Kingsley, I'm going to turn to you first for that one.
Certainly. I'd like to break my approach down into three main points. The first one is recognition. Acknowledging that everyone you work with, they have their own priorities, expectations, projects, and commitments. Acknowledging that is a crucial aspect of effective collaboration. I strive to respect these factors to create an environment where everyone feels valued, heard, and supported. Number two, considerate communication. I try to take a considerate approach in my communication and being mindful of others' time, attention, and their priorities. Take my time to be clear and concise in my communication while actively listening to others and being responsive to their needs in a timely manner. And third, just connection. Reminding yourself and your colleagues of how the work you do contributes to a culture of care can be a powerful motivator. I do my best to highlight the impact of our work together, whether it's students, colleagues, or the broader UAGC community. I believe that connection back to the impact of our work, it contributes to providing a sense of purpose and fulfillment in that work that we do together. Fostering a culture of care and practicing considerate collaboration will not only strengthen your working relationships, but also contribute to positive outcomes for students and other stakeholders. I feel like this approach has led me to increased engagement, productivity, and satisfaction when working with my colleagues. It's an approach that emphasizes empathy, respect, and purpose-driven collaboration, which are all essential elements of building a supportive and effective work environment. Thank you.
Thanks, Kingsley. And you got a shout out in the chat how conscientious and respectful you are in communicating with colleagues. And I echo that. I'm often copied on communication from Kingsley to academic leadership, asking for recognition of something a student encountered during their time in the course. And he will say, you know, with respect to culture of care, would you consider allowing the student another opportunity, right? So again, back to what we were talking about before, was there an error? No. Could we have done better? Could we be more reflective of this caring culture? I think we can. And really using those words in a caring collaboration, I think is so important. And I know how well you do that, Kingsley. Does anyone else want to speak to this particular question?
Sure, I'd be happy to. You know, I always go into a situation recognizing that multiple things can be happening at once. A student can allege a concern about an instructor. At the same time, the instructor can allege a concern about the student's behavior. And in every situation, there's multiple perspectives. Language can be really subjective. We define things very differently based on our lived experiences. And while we must remain objective in the way that we're assessing things and the outcomes that we're providing, we do our best to try to connect with parties involved, understanding their situation, asking questions, and being curious about the other's perspective. We also want to provide transparency in our processes and answer questions to those involved as well. We worked hard as well to collect data that can help inform us how we can evolve our processes, how we can create resources to support staff and faculty who might be navigating challenging situations. We also do our best, though it can sometimes not be easy, to address and acknowledge impacts, bring in resources that can provide support to someone when we cannot do the supporting, and give everyone an opportunity to learn. Mistakes happen, miscommunication happens, misunderstandings happen. How can we bring them together for everyone to learn and move forward in a positive way?
Thanks, team. I think these examples really highlight how we strive to provide care for folks across the institution. And as I said before, this presentation specifically was about infusing care into your team. And so we really wanted to spend some time talking about how that work is done intentionally, meaningfully. There are organic parts of this, of course, right? Like we happen to be the most fun and caring team at UAGC, obviously, and some of that's organic. But a lot of it is done very meaningfully. And we're hoping to give some folks some tips maybe on how to infuse those pieces of care. So in Student Affairs, we've created numerous shared spaces within the department to help cultivate a sense of connection and care. Personally speaking, as the leader of this team, it's really part of what keeps me connected and keeps me wanting to continue working with this team. So Kingsley, tell us about what we in Student Affairs call Fun Friday.
Absolutely. Every 2 weeks, without fail, we gather together on a volunteer basis to just take a moment for fun. These are regular check-ins, and they serve as a safe space where we connect on a human level. They're moments of respite, rejuvenation, and joy. What happens is one person from the team or a partnership team, they volunteer to facilitate Fun Friday, which consists of engaging in an icebreaker activity followed by a group game of their choice. Through this simple act of coming together to play games, we transcend the boundaries of hierarchy and titles, allowing ourselves to be fully present, vulnerable, and authentic. Whether it's a game of categories, a round of trivia, or a storytelling session, these playful interactions serve as a powerful reminder of the importance of laughter, camaraderie, and shared experiences in nurturing a culture of care. Fun Fridays are not just a distraction from work, but they're a powerful expression of our commitment to care, connection, and community. It helps remind us that the true essence of our work lies not in the tasks we accomplish or the deadlines we meet, but in the relationships that we cultivate, the support we offer, and the humanity that we bring to our workspace each and every day. Thanks.
Thank you, Kingsley. And I would say, as a regular participant in Fun Friday, there's usually about 5, 8, 10, 12 of us there. Vanessa put in the chat, it gets competitive sometimes. Some of us have competition in our top 5. Maybe that's me. Maybe I win a fair amount while we're there. And really, it's a space, I can tell you, where we learn a lot about folks, right? There are things that I have learned about my colleagues in Student Affairs from Fun Friday that I never would have gleaned in another space, right? Because you have to create those spaces to learn those fun things about each other. We also recently started participating in something called Motivate. Vanessa, you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So Motivate, as Rachel said, I'm involved in. It's kind of like a fitness team that we've created as part of the Move Arizona 24 program. So it's like a friendly team competition, 8-week movement program, and it's designed to encourage the University of Arizona employees to prioritize their physical well-being by engaging in at least 150 minutes of exercise a week. So, in a remote environment where it's all too easy to just get caught up in the daily grind, wake up, get to your computer, spend all day on the computer. It's just, initiatives like this are extremely important. They provide us with the opportunity to step away from our computers, prioritize our health, and establish healthy habits that contribute to our overall well-being. Motivate isn't just about physical exercise, though. It's about taking a much-needed mental breaks, connecting with colleagues outside of work-related tasks, and just fostering a sense of community, like we've all been saying this whole time. In addition to the competition team, we also have a page on Teams where we share recipes, wellness tips, words of encouragement. And so this little virtual hub, we all come together and we support and uplift one another. And I just think initiatives like these play a big part in maintaining our team's connection and morale.
I love that. And that one's been really fun because that one's really about caring for yourselves and caring for each other. We've really been cheering each other on, trying to get those minutes up there, take some time. It's really inspired some of us to continue moving while we're working, taking some calls while we're walking with each other in a meeting and being on the phone, and the Teams page piece, which we'll get to more too. I wanted to add too, we created a book club in Student Affairs, honestly, a few years ago at this point in time. And again, these are all opt-in, right? Everyone can choose to participate in these different opportunities, but the point is creating the opportunities for folks to opt into, right? So a few years ago, we discovered that many of us in Student Affairs love to read and read anyway, read for fun, usually fiction. We don't really read a lot of nonfiction, but we created a book club and we come together however often, usually maybe every other month, with a book that we pick. Again, like Vanessa said, we have a Teams page, so we will throw in a great book we just read or give a recommendation for the next book, and then create a space for us to come together and talk about maybe how it relates to our work, and maybe not, because maybe we read a psychological thriller that really hopefully has absolutely nothing to do with what we're doing at work and is just truly a place for us to come together and talk about what we love to do right outside of here. So, but the Teams page creates a space for us to be able to gather asynchronously also. And Student Affairs is amazing at creating different teams and different spaces within teams to really communicate, collaborate, get together, spend time together, which is that meaningful care, right? April, do you want to talk to us about some of the stuff your team is doing within team spaces on the message of care?
Yeah, of course. So in our office, we deal with a lot of heavy stuff on any given day. So my thing is, we have a Teams page just specifically for our team that we do nothing but 90% of the time just send memes back and forth. So as an example, yesterday it was a meme. It said Happy Toes Day, and it was meant to say Happy Tuesday, but I was like, can you believe March is almost over? Like, we have 5 days at that point. So we'll have a conversation with no words, and it's just memes going back and forth. How's your day? And we'll have the big coffee cup, or how's this going? And it's just all memes, and that's all we do. It's just to kind of break up the monotony of work, take 2-3 minutes here and there, have a conversation, have fun doing it, and break that way. By the time the end of the day is over, we've left all the stress behind of work, and we can come and refresh the next day.
Thanks, April. You mentioned something important, which, a lot of us think about Student Affairs as fun stuff. It's all the stuff that the students get to do outside of the classroom. And that's true. We do get to do a lot of the fun stuff. We also do a lot of the hard stuff. We solve a lot of the issues that students are facing or folks are experiencing related to students. We hear students' complaints. We are the recipient of some frustration. And so creating spaces for one another to be able to talk through that, to be able to experience that. Kim, tell us a little bit about how you've helped the team be able to do that.
Yeah, it's really, I think, important to hold multiple spaces for each of us. And I think Student Affairs does a really good job of doing that. One space is really about that emotion, that impact, that feel space. Feel, empty your cup, acknowledge impact, talk through the situation in a way that just allows you to kind of say what you need to say. Then hold a separate space that's really about being objective, focusing on catalog, processes, compliance, helping us determine then how to move forward most appropriately. Ultimately, the goal would be to understand the root of the issue, both for ourselves and the student, and how best to ultimately support ourselves and the student. We do our best to understand that each person involved is human, has their own lived experiences, brings their own lens, and giving those multiple spaces to be a human, and also times to address boundaries we need to set. How do we set them? How can we help each other set them? There's no one size fits all approach to any challenging behavior that we navigate, but we help each other express ourselves in safe spaces, set those boundaries, walk through our potential biases, all while remaining compliant. And if we do that, we continue to learn and develop the skills we need to support each other and our students.
So while we have 2 minutes left in this panel, I'm happy to take any questions in the chat. I will do my best to address them. I hope what you can see is that this is a very transparent, open team who wants to share what we're doing and how we're doing it. So please, I'll be on the lookout for that. The main takeaways for me, and if folks don't want to add anything in the chat, please do, is that the work around care and the culture of care is intentional work. It's not magic. Sometimes we feel like it is, like care just happens. We're caring people. We care about each other. We care about this work. Of course, you're going to see care in what we do. And there, like I said before, there's a part of that that's true. There is some organic pieces. There is some magic. There are amazing people on this team, and that does make it easier. It makes the magic easier. But the working with care, leading with care, serving our students and each other with care, That is meaningful, mindful work that is done intentionally, purposefully, and really shows itself in these shared spaces we create for one another, how we treat one another, how we communicate, collaborate outside of our department with our students and with our colleagues. And to begin with, how we treat one another within this team and create those spaces for care. And so if you walk away with anything, that's what we want you to walk away with today, is to meaningfully and intentionally create spaces around care for one another so that you can give that care to everyone else across the institution or wherever your workspace might be. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, team. That was really interesting and very informative. We are at the end of the hour, and the next session today is the keynote speaker, Matt Tenney. I believe, Antoinette, you have posted a link in the chat for folks to go there.
Yes, I have.
Okay. Well, thank you to the team who presented. I loved some of your ideas. Made me jealous with some of the stuff you guys are doing.
Folks can join, hit us up. It's not exclusive.
And thanks to all of you for being here. And that concludes this session, and we'll move on to the general session, which is the keynote speaker, Matt Tenney. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.